What's the biggest bank in the world? It has no branches. It takes no deposits. And yet, it controls the flow of global money. This isn't a riddle. This is the shadow banking empire. Once upon a time, banking was simple. You deposited your money, the bank lent it out, and that was that. But in 2008, the world discovered a darker truth. Behind every traditional bank, there stands another invisible, unregulated, and incredibly powerful. This is the world of shadow banking, a vast financial network that operates completely outside of public control. It doesn't follow the same rules as your local bank, yet it shapes every single economic decision we make. This is an invisible empire, built not on cash, but on promises, leverage, and digital liquidity. So, what exactly is shadow banking? The name sounds sinister, but it's not about crime. It's about complexity. It's a system made up of repo markets, hedge funds, derivatives, and money market funds, all working together to create money without ever calling it money. In simple terms, it is the financial system that doesn't appear on your bank statement but controls the one that does. Whenever one bank lends another money overnight, or a corporation raises billions by selling short-term bonds, or a hedge fund multiplies its bets through derivatives, that's shadow banking in action. It's the engine room of modern finance, hidden just out of sight. Let's step into its secret marketplace, the repo market. This is the beating heart of shadow banking. Here, banks and financial institutions lend to each other for extremely short periods, often just overnight, using high-quality securities like government bonds as collateral. It's like saying, "Here, hold on to this valuable bond for me. Lend me cash today, and I'll buy the bond back from you tomorrow for a slightly higher price." It sounds simple, but every single day, trillions of dollars move through this hidden marketplace. It's what keeps the global financial system liquid, like the bloodstream of capitalism. But here's the problem. It's almost completely invisible to the public. If this market suddenly freezes, the entire financial system suffocates. Now, we enter the magician's corner, the world of off-balance sheet financing. Imagine a bank wants to make a risky loan but doesn't want that risk showing up on its official records, which are scrutinized by regulators. Here's the trick they use. They create a separate, independent company, often called a special purpose vehicle or SPV. The bank then sells its risky assets to this shell company. On paper, the bank's own balance sheet looks clean, safe, and stable. In reality, the risk hasn't disappeared. It's just been moved next door. This is exactly what triggered the 2008 financial crisis. Trillions of dollars in hidden, high-risk mortgage debt were stashed away in these SPVs. When the housing market collapsed, all that hidden debt suddenly surfaced, and the entire house of cards came crashing down. And then we have the most powerful and dangerous weapon of all, derivatives. A derivative is a financial contract whose value is derived from an underlying asset. That could be anything: interest rates, currencies, stock prices, or even the weather. In essence, derivatives are bets. Massive, leveraged bets made by banks, corporations, and funds all across the world. They can be used to protect against risk, but they are more often used to speculate. Every day, contracts worth quadrillions of dollars change hands, often through private deals, far from the public eye. The true danger is the lack of transparency. No one really knows who owes what, or to whom. That's why when one big player falls, the entire system shakes. Just like it did with Lehman Brothers. Their failure triggered a domino effect through the tangled web of derivatives, threatening to bring down the whole global economy. This brings us to a chilling reality: power without votes. We like to believe our democratically elected governments control the economy, that central banks set the rules. But today, the markets hold the real power. A handful of giant investment funds and financial institutions can move currencies, crash bond markets, or even bankrupt nations, all without a single vote being cast. When a government announces a new policy, the first reaction doesn't come from the people. It comes from the markets. If the markets disapprove, the country's currency can collapse, its stock market can fall, and its political promises can vanish overnight. There's a saying in finance: democracy decides who governs, but markets decide who survives. So why don't we hear more about shadow banking on the nightly news? Because the entire global financial system depends on one very fragile thing: trust. If the public truly understood that the system runs on a mountain of hidden debt and borrowed money created out of thin air, confidence could shatter in an instant. The illusion of stability would vanish. So, Central banks like the Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, and the IMF constantly reassure us everything is under control. They manage the visible system, but the real control lies with this parallel network, a system that no government can vote for or against. It's a parallel financial universe where money is created and destroyed with a single keystroke. The hidden risk is that shadow banking is now simply too big to control. It has grown beyond its creators. The system is a complex chain of borrowing and lending. If even one link in that funding chain breaks, liquidity can disappear, and trust can evaporate in a flash. Banks would stop lending to each other, markets would freeze, and suddenly, the entire economy would grind to a halt. We must remember a fundamental truth. Money, in its modern form, only exists as long as we all believe in it. Shadow banking constantly tests the limits of that belief. What does the future hold? Some experts claim shadow banking is the future of finance, faster, more digital, and more efficient than the old, regulated system. Others warn that it's a ticking time bomb, waiting to explode. With the rise of AI-driven trading and algorithmic finance, the system has become even more automated. It's a vast self-operating machine that no single person or institution fully understands. One wrong line of code, one false data point, and the global economy could crash, not in weeks or days, but in seconds. This is the financial system that no one voted for, and yet, it decides our future. When governments make promises, the markets decide how long they'll last. When central banks raise interest rates, the shadow system decides who survives and who fails. The real financial system is the one you can't see, and it controls the visible one. Thanks for watching. If you want to uncover more truths about how our world really works, make sure to subscribe.